say, and the real progression with this horse too is being stepped up in trip. He's been crying out for this trip. Yeah. He'll stay it very well. Doesn't want the ground to go easy because he's definitely a good or faster ground horse. Yeah, looking at the ratings and everything else, always very respectful of Aidan's horses, who are sort of cleaning up at the moment. But we're very hopeful that he'll put in a bold show, yeah.
Now, of course, if he was a bit of a surprise as a Derby contender, there's no surprise that Telescope is a serious Derby contender. On the back of 2 promising runs last year, he is set to reappear in the Dante at York, live on Channel 4 next week. How is he?
Well, I think he's very well. I spoke to Sir Michael this week, and he's very pleased with the horse. Yeah, I mean, I've seen him do a couple of pieces of work, and I've sort of known that as a sort of non-regular work watcher, when you go up and watch work, normally it all goes horribly wrong, and you can't work out, you don't know who's carrying what weight. But a couple of pieces I've seen have been very impressive. He's worked with Opinion, another Highclere horse who ran very well at Newmarket in the big handicap there. 1,000 guineas day, and I think that was a pointer for those of us who've seen the work. A 4-year-old against a 3-year-old, and who knows what the weights were on the gallop. Certainly Sir Michael will know those details, but his Telescope was very impressive, and physically he's done fantastically well. He's a different horse to last year, physically.
This all sounds very exciting. Greatwood and Telescope. You can hear, Nick, we are clinging on to whatever little clues we can get to give us hope that these 2 Highclere horses might turn into possible live contenders against the Aidan O'Brien battalion in the Derby.
Well, certainly Great Britain needs a couple of meaningful Derby contenders because they're pretty thin on the ground at present. Perhaps we'll get one this afternoon. Thanks to Harry Herbert, and very much looking forward to seeing Greatwood and Telescope. You may need a few more clues to help you find the Derby trial winner and indeed the Derby winner. And before we take a break, here are some key stats for you. Welcome back. You are watching The Morning Line, joined here at our Chester-based studio, looking at action from Haydock, Ascot and Lingfield by Michael Owen. Graham Cunningham with me as well. And Graham, a lot of people have been getting in touch with us about a ride given to a horse at Ripon last night. I haven't seen this. It was late last night. Apprentice in question was Eva Mosscrop, and it sounds like a right dog's breakfast, to be honest.
Sounds like it was a real blunder. I watched the race on video. 5-2 favourite in a handicap, the 840 at Ripon. Went about 5 or 6 clear, pulling a bus. A furlong out, it looks as if Eva mistook the winning pole. She thought the job was done. She eased off badly for about 50 yards. The pack closed in. She started to ride again and got beaten in a 3-way photo. So people, it drives punters mad, but it happens a couple of times here. I think she got a 10-day ban, lesson learned, and she compounded the error by falling off the horse just after the line. A bad day at the office, it happens.
Oh dear, oh dear. More on that, I'm sure, as the week progresses. Breaking news just come through. It's been reported on Twitter that Ferdy Murphy is relocating. Multiple Cheltenham Festival winning trainer, of course, is going to train in France, where his son has had significant success buying horses. We wish Ferdy well. And with more breaking news, here's Rashid Ascot.
Yes, Nick, one of the most exciting events of the year, certainly unique in the British racing calendar, is the Dubai Duty Free Shergar Cup, which is set to take place once again here at Ascot. Ascot head of PR Nick Smith alongside me. Nick, just to confirm, first of all, the date of the Dubai Duty Free Shergar Cup.
It's on the 10th of August this year, Rishi. It's one of our big summer occasions, and we've built it up a lot. Girls team again.
Yeah. We'll talk about the girls team in just a second, because we've got big news on who the rest of the world team will comprise. A very big name from the States who made a big splash over here in the UK, riding for Her Majesty the Queen, a winner at Royal Ascot.
Yeah, and that's brilliant to have Gary Stevens back. He was a superstar when he rode here. He won on Blueprint for the Queen, obviously won on Dubai Millennium as well. He was he's a superb jockey, and he's going to lead a team which includes Yasunori Iwata, who's basically monopolised the Japan Cup in recent years. And the female team, Hayley Turner, Lisa Allpress, who's won everything there is to win in New Zealand, and she rides she used to ride Ocean Park, their Cox Plate winner over there. Right. But the real big name here is another American, it's Rosie Napravnik, and she's She won 2 Grade 2 races recently at the Kentucky Derby meeting. She finished 5th in the Kentucky Derby itself, and she is the outstanding rider, female rider in the country, and genuinely one of their top riders.
Yeah, this is a tremendous lineup that you've got. How much hard work did you have to do to pull off such a coup?
Well, we've when I'm doing the stuff around the world for trying to get the horses to come and run, I always make sure I talk to the overseas jockeys and assess their interest, even if it's not for this year. And I spoke to Rosie, last year, because we had Chantal and Emma Jane guaranteed pretty early last year, but definitely wanted to get Rosie, and she was the key name. And I think we got Chantal and Emma Jane to call her and say, look, you've got to do this, Rosie. This is a great way of showcasing yourself in front of the British audience, which means so much over there.
I'm guessing that you'll be very late before you name the GB and Ireland team. Yeah,
that's an unfortunate problem with the event. It's one of those things, you can't do much about it. But there's pattern races at Haydock and Newmarket that day, so we have to wait really until we know which jockeys have been released. We'll get the European team sorted out before then, sometime after the Dubai GT3 Irish Derby, I'd imagine.
Okay, Nick, thank you very much for your time. It's been a big morning of news here. Gary Stevens and Rosie Napravnik, just a couple of the big names confirmed for the Dubai GT3 Sugar Cup.
Gary Stevens, who's had so many comebacks, this is the latest of them. But that is a big signing, actually, Graham, isn't it?
And so is Rosie Napravnik.
Yeah.
So, I don't know about the Lisa Allpress. I don't know too much about her, but I know a lot about Gary Stevens and Rosie Napravnik, and they're world-class riders by any standard.
I'm hoping you both know a lot about the Swinton Hurdle, because that's the race we're going to have a look at now. Let's have a look at the best prices, of course. It's the first big handicap of the jump season. I'll let you get your head around that. Forgotten Voice 6 to 1, 11 to 1 Mr. Mole, 11 to 1 Turnover Civil, 12 Cry of Freedom, Deep Sand, Barazan, Starluck 14 with Cape Express. We've got a couple of pieces of footage that we've plucked out. We'll start with this one, Graham. Starluck, the old boy, Nico de Boinville riding, 14 to 1. Well, he out-battled Mr. Mole at Cheltenham, but I'll let you draw your own conclusions.
Yeah, you can say that again. We can highlight both these horses, Nick. We got the grey Starluck. Lots of people have fond memories of him at Cheltenham. And look at this fella over here, a right villain, in my view at least, Mr. Mole. And they're both going pretty well at this point. Sud Pacific is the leader. Harry Derham is aboard Mr. Mole in the white cap, the JP McManus colours. On the near side, the grey Starluck. And it's anyone's race at the last. Starluck battles, and Mr. Mole appears to say, after you, Claude.
I don't think you disagree with that, would you, Michael?
No, that he just 10 yards ago there, he turned his head and he didn't want to go past, did he? And Starluck's not got a reputation either of being a hardy horse in a battle, so Mr. Mole looks as if he's got a lot of ability, but you would question his mindset.
Mick Fitzgerald is down at Ascot. Mick, Starluck and Mr. Mole, it was who wanted to lose the least, wasn't it, last time? Can we get a word from Mick now? Or perhaps we'll save that for a couple of moments' time. We're going to have a look at Forgotten Voice first of all. Forgotten Voice, who was a pretty impressive winner at Kempton, prior to finishing second to My Tent or Yours at Aintree.
Yeah, one of the real trends for the Swinton Hurdle at Haydock. It's spring, tight track, generally good ground. Very high quality flat horses have a great record in this race. This is a Royal Hunt Cup winner a few years ago, and he's taken well to hurdles. He beats a very good novice here in Brick Red. He beats him handsomely. He was up against his stablemate My Tent or Yours at Aintree. Not good enough. In a handicap, he's dangerous.
Graham was just mentioning Hunt Cup winner went hurdling. You've had a few of yours go hurdling, haven't you? Do you enjoy it, or is it just a means to an end?
No, I like both codes really. Obviously, my business is set up in the flat,
sure.
So but if there's anything that's had its day on the flat, then I tend to send them over hurdles as opposed to selling them, because I enjoy racing, full stop.
Don't we all? Mick Fitzgerald, I'm sure, has got a view on Forgotten Voice, trained by Nicky Henderson, and this race in general. Mick?
Yeah, it's just interesting that Nicky has targeted the race for this horse. It's a race that ex-flat racers have done particularly well in. It's a very tight track now, Haydock. You need a horse that travels very well, and you saw there in that piece of VT how easily he travels Forgotten Voice. Quite a slick jumper. The faster they go, the better it'll suit him. But don't forget Nicky's other horse in there, Cape Express, the same ownership, of course, of Eradicate, who's won this race twice, and Alan Spence, and I think this horse will go well too. It's a tight little handicap though, and you can't rule any of these out. There's a few others in there, Nick, that I think have chances as well.
And I know that Graham particularly fancies one, don't you, that we haven't mentioned?
I think we should put in a good word for Turnover Civil. Before his last start, you wouldn't have fancied him for this race. He got good ground at Wincanton, and he looked a different horse. Wayne Hutchinson was on board for the first time. He breezed clear of a decent field, up in the weights, but he's a player today. He's not one of those ex-flat horses. He came from the bumper route, but it looks like spring ground's perfect for him.
It's a good race though, isn't it?
It's always a great race. Very happy memories of this race. And that stat, that trend towards flat horses, Eradicate won it twice for Nicky Henderson. Coat of Honour was a really good flat horse. Blue Bajan, speed is king under conditions like this.
Okay, so Turnover Sibler would be your number one
Each way
selection.
chance, for sure, yeah.
Excellent. And Michael, you going to have a bet in this race?
I've got a soft spot for Forgotten Voice because I backed him in the Hunt Cup when
Did
he
you?
won at Royal Ascot. So yeah, I mean, and that combination of Barry Geraghty and Nicky Henderson, it's pretty good, isn't it?
He's a horse with bags of speed as well. One man who is hoping that his steed will have bags of speed this afternoon is President of the Horse Race Writers and Photographers Association, Steve Cargill, and he's down with at Ascot with Tanya, who's going to tell us more.
Thanks very much indeed, Nick. Well, my first visit to Ascot was 1973, very young then. And an important facet of our sport is to get youngsters involved. Today at Ascot, there are not only 6 races, there's 7. And Steve, you're riding in the charity race. What's it all in aid of?
It's in aid of Behest, who run the Racing to School initiative. They bring groups of school kids to the races, 20 or 30 at a time, often from deprived areas, inner city areas, to continue their learning programme on the race course, so literacy, numeracy, alongside a horse racing slant on it. So it's a really good cause, and it gives them a great introduction to the sport as well.
So what made you want to ride in this charity race, though?
Well, they had one here last year, and I'm the official photographer here, so when you was photographing the race thinking, well, I could do that, and now I am. So maybe I wish I wasn't later on, but for now I'm okay.
Who do you ride and what distance is it over?
It's over the straight mile, so it's not a 3-mile chase. So there's no jumps to worry about. I'm riding Fremont, kindly donated by Hugo Palmer. That was sorted out within the last week, so I've not had much time to worry about it really.
One of 12 riders in the race.
Yeah, we've all raised at least £2,000 to take part. It costs £1,000 a day for Behest to run one of these courses for the kids, so it's a really good cause, and hopefully we've raised a lot of money.
Any problems with weight?
Wait, if I was Sheikh Mohammed, I'd storm off right now, Tanya.
Thank you very much indeed, Steve. If you want any more details about Behest, check out the Channel 4 Racing website.
Thanks to Steve. Thank you, Tanya. Breaking news here is that Michael Owen is about to take out his jockey's licence. Well, not quite. Everyone thinks you're going to train. You want to ride in a charity race, don't you?
I think so, yeah. Yeah, a couple of reasons. You always watch and think, oh, I'd love to have a go at that. I mean, it's so it's always been on my mind, and then it'd be good for keeping the weight down as well. I mean, retiring in a couple of weeks, and you've got to do something to keep the weight down. And
presumably, you've never been able to sit on a horse or anything while you've been playing football. I mean, just far too much.
No, I rode a pony when I was as a kid, but only for a few weeks. And
is that all in the contracts when you're a top footballer?
Yeah,
you can't ski, you can't ride horses,
jet
you can't do
skis,
anything.
And skiing and motorbikes and horses and anything like that. So yeah, as soon as I'm finished, then I've asked Tom to put me on the one of the quietest horses in the yard, but I don't think he will. I think he'd get a great kick out of seeing me getting thrown off the back of one. But
you won't be on fine and dandy just yet.
No.
This is going to be tremendous. Team tips today, Graham.
Yeah, I'm going off the reservation to Lingfield for a couple. We don't televise these races, but keep an eye on Sartori, Man United connection there, one for the teenagers. He's a speedy 2-year-old, he's got the rail, and Sheikh Zayed Road is a very progressive handicapper for David Simcoe.
Apparently you're not allowed to drive down there if you're a professional footballer either. Michael?
Yeah, I'm going for Gatewood in the Derby trial, and then I'm going each way on Solar Deity.
Excellent. Who's next? Mick, down at Ascot.
Yeah, I'm going for Jetson, who runs in that very competitive handicap up at Haydock. I'm going 25 each way, and I'm going for Main Sequence, David Lanigan's horse, down at Lingfield as well. I think this horse will take all the beating.
Really looking forward to Main Sequence like you. I'm going to Haydock as well with Street Entertainer each way. Ran a blinding race here, albeit last year. That was his last run behind Raya Star here. And in the Betfred Victoria Cup. The bigger the field, the bigger the certainty. Well, that's how I'm hoping anyway. Half a sixpence each way.
And I have gone for Main Sequence as well with Mick and Tartiflette each way in the Victoria Cup. You've been sending us your tweets for Michael, as you'd expect. What do we got here? Will you be looking to expand Manor House Stables after your retirement? You're quite expanded already, aren't you?
Yeah, we try to keep getting bigger and better and everything else. It just depends on demand. More horses that get sent to us, the more we'll cater for. I mean, to a level. We train just over 90 now, and I think that the place could accommodate around 140. So we'd love to get to that level. But.
And is that idea of taking out a trainer's license off the menu now?
Totally
I've asked you about 150 times.
Yeah, no, my answer will never change. Tom's the.
It's a definite no now, is it?
No, I've got other things planned.